Our recordings resume with a very useful look at the different apps that are available for visually impaired people, presented by our very own, very knowledgeable chairman, James Cape.
With color, and so it can help you in so many ways. Now, I have used on the right-hand side of the Be My Eyes is a screen, so you can also access this screen, and you can get all sorts of assistance. And one of the experiences I had was I had a problem with Excel. It just wouldn't work. There was a problem with Excel. I phoned the Microsoft people. They are open for 24 hours. And the lady that helped me was exceptionally good, patient, and really guided me through the whole process. I was then able to use my Excel. So I've actually used them on more than one occasion for aspects like that. I also encourage you, on the far right is the one for volunteers, to get all your family and friends involved. The volunteer one works on a basis that it's worked on time zones, and based on what language you speak. So what will happen is you'll get a call and you will help, they'll coach you, and you will help the person who is phoned in. What happens is when you push the button to phone, it goes to about 4 or 5 people simultaneously, and it's the one who answers first. So Sandra has got it and often gets calls, but sometimes by the time she gets to her phone, it has already been answered. But it's a wonderful service to have. And by the way, so far the apps that I've spoken about come free. They don't cost you any money whatsoever. Okay, so the next one that I make use of is the keyboard, large keyboard. So on the left-hand side, you can see the normal size of it. And on the right-hand side, you can see when you engage with it. And it makes a world of difference. I know people who are not even visually impaired, elderly people who've now got long arms and short arms and what have you, they're making use of this app themselves for the purposes mentioned. So now, remember I mentioned the microphone. So I've highlighted it there. There's the microphone. So you can also, instead of using the keyboard, you can dictate. So it's a wonderful tool to have. Okay, so now you'll see there are 2 microphones. There's one at the top. That one is, if you dictate on that, it'll record it and send a recording. The bottom one will actually type it out as a message. So if you're doing WhatsApp, for example, and you're using the top one, it'll come out and you get that little, you can actually hear the person speak. You send your message via audio, and that's the top one. The bottom one, you can actually get it to type the message out for you. So these are the kind of things that when I say you need to get to know the app and take full advantage of the app before downloading the next app. Now, Uber. So I have 2 Uber drivers. I have my wife that comes free of charge, but it does come at a cost, trust me on that. And then you get Uber. Uber really is, I've used them, Claudette's used them, I've used them extensively. They also have a particular service that you can order a Uber, and it doesn't cost you more, but the Uber driver will engage with you. In other words, he'll take you get you into the car, he'll get you out of the car and take you right up to the front of the shop or wherever you wish to go. They will give you assistance. So that is absolutely important. Then in your mail, the reason I put the mail there is because, again, you can dictate your mail. So if you're going to send a mail or a message, you can actually dictate the message to the person and it'll type it out for you. Again, these are the type of tools that will make your life that much easier. Now, Siri is a good friend of mine. She even greets me, I notice these days when I engage with her. But Siri can give you access to a world of information. Even aspects when you've got problems with your phone, you can ask Siri and she will give you guidance as to where to look, what to do, etc. So most smartphones have Siri. I know with the OS 2 they've got it, and with the other cell phones they have various other applications. What I've put down here is a contact for apps. Now, if you go to this app store, there's around about 150 various apps that you can use for low vision. So it gives you a range of apps that might suit your particular need. But I go back to what I originally said is please do not download all of these apps. One of the things that I've also it's quite important for low vision people is if you have low vision apps, arrange them on your phone that they are easy accessible, because you will have a host of other apps that you're required to have to run the phone, but put them all together, either right at the bottom so that you've got easy access to them. What I've done is I've actually created a file and I've put them all in the file. So I have a file called Low Vision, which is easy for me to access because it's at the top left-hand corner, so I know exactly where they are, and I can access them quite quickly. So that's just a little tidying up of your apps. Otherwise, you might battle to find where the apps are that you're going to use. All right, so what I thought I would share with you is some very interesting enhancements that are going to come out on the Apple phone shortly. So I'll hand you over to Sandra again.
Okay, coming to an Apple device near you. In late June this year, Apple announced a raft of new features soon to be on their view.
Sorry, we can't see that document.
We're going to read it to you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so while it was a virtual event due to COVID-19, the conference allows developers a sneak peek of new features, along with a toolkit to make use of the new features and create new apps or updates before the new software is released, usually in September. What's new in iOS 14? Apple's soon-to-be-released version 14 of its iOS is full of new interesting features, too many to list, but there are a few worth mentioning. The most interesting one I found is an app that Apple have developed called Translate, which will come out as a part of iOS 14 in September 2020. It will allow you to instantly translate into any of the following languages: English, Mandarin, Chinese, French, German, Italian, Spanish, Japanese, Korean, Arabic, Portuguese, and Russian. Best of all, the translation takes place on your phone, not on the internet, so you can still use it when you're offline. Because the translation is processed on your iPhone, there is also no risk of any privacy breaches you might have if you did not do it over the internet. You simply hold your phone in landscape view and it will enter conversation mode, translating between languages in real time so you can have a proper conversation. The Maps app has been upgraded to identify elevation changes, routes that have bike lanes, avoiding routes with high traffic, and even letting you know if there are stairs where you may need to carry your bike. You'll be able to add widgets to the home screen. They come in different sizes so you can customize exactly how much information you want to see. App Library allows you to manage all your apps So you don't have lots of pages to your home screen. You just have the most important apps, and then all the other stuff goes on a page called Apple Library, where they are grouped by App Store categories. iOS 14 will have picture-in-picture, which allows you to access things on your iPhone while still having a FaceTime call or watching a movie. Siri's use interface has been remodeled, so rather than taking up the whole page, it just uses a small space at the bottom of the phone, so you can still see what's on your screen while asking Siri a question. Siri has received a bit of an update as well, as it can now answer a broader range of questions, hopefully. It can also send an audio message, which will be really useful for those of us who struggle with texting or getting Siri to understand Kiwi accent dictation. On that note, dictation will now be part of the built-in neural engine of iOS, so dictation happens offline, which means increased privacy. Messages, the texting app, has got a major revamp, focusing on group conversations. Important messages can now be pinned to the top of the list. There's also a feature called Mentions, which you can filter group messaging to only be notified of messages that when you were mentioned in it. And for a bit of fun, there's emojis. If you are not sure what an emoji is, it's like a cartoon figure of yourself that you create, and you can add your personality to it. There are now more than 1 trillion options for creating your personalized look, and when it speaks, it talks to your voice. It talks in your voice, but it's like a cartoon. It may seem a bit silly, but it's pleasantly playful. By many accounts, Mac OS.
That's right. Okay, so I like the one about the stairs. I think that's going to be a huge, huge help to all of us. Okay, so my next category is computers. Everybody keeps saying computers, like are for the youngsters, etc. But a computer is probably a most important aspect, because especially those who have got family overseas, those that need to pay medical aid bills, those who need to do their banking and all sorts of things, computers are starting to play a more important role. So one of the tools that I use on my computer is ZoomText.
ZoomText Magnifier or Reader is a fully integrated magnification and screen reading program that enlarges, enhances, and reads aloud everything on the computer screen.
Okay, so that's what it looks like when it comes up on your screen. And I want to tell you that, without ZoomText, I would not have been able to have worked. I worked for a financial institution for 45 years, and without ZoomText, I would never, ever have been able to have survived. On the right-hand side, you can see it has multiple options. You can increase the magnification. You can change the voice. You can change the color of the screen. You can change the shape and color of the pointer. There are so many options that you can do. And the nice thing about ZoomText is that you can take down a free download and see if it meets your needs. You don't have to go out and buy it and then find out that it doesn't quite meet your needs. But it's certainly, you can download it, play with it. You can get assistance from people like myself and from Anton van Rooyen, who's the vice chairman. There's a host of us that can give you some guidance and advice on it, but it's a magical tool. Without it, really would take a lot of strain. I've also got a large keyboard, which makes a world of difference. There's an example of a large keyboard. On this particular keyboard, it has particular functionalities of easy accessible for the screen, and it's really makes a big difference in terms of typing. Now, I know Anton, for example, has got memorized all the key easy access by using the keyboard. Alt this, alt that, plus that. Anton's got exceptionally good at that. So there are ways and means that you can navigate your way around without really having to battle. All right, I mentioned Google. Now, I use Google a lot. And what I've found now since that famous little speech button, which I've just highlighted now, you can now ask Google. You can say to Google, you want to look up, say, for example, low vision apps, or you want to look up whatever you want to look up, you can now dictate and it will react. So those are the kind of aspects that I mentioned that you need to familiarize yourself with and make your life a lot easier. Also, I'm just going to get Sandra to read this out. When you set up your computer, it's very important that you make full use of the functionalities of the computer. So by way of example, I'm just going to get Sandra to read this.
So click on the Windows icon and type Settings. The first option that appears should be the Settings app. Click on the Ease of Access menu option. Under Display, use the slider under the Make Text Bigger to adjust the text to the size you want. To zoom in or zoom out on parts of your screen in Windows 10, use Magnifier. To turn on Magnifier, press the Windows logo key plus the little plus in brackets. Zoom in by continuing to press the Windows logo key plus in brackets plus. Zoom out by pressing the Windows logo key plus minus in brackets, and to turn off Magnifier, press the Windows logo key and escape.
Well, one of the things that you just need to take cognizance of is that obviously the larger you make your print, the less you'll see on your actual screen. I mean, you'll have to navigate on your screen a little bit more. But what I highly recommend is that you use a slightly larger screen. Like myself, I've got a 22-inch screen. I've seen some people have got a slightly larger screen, and that also makes, for ease of reference and ease of looking, can make your life a lot easier. So these are the kind of typical kind of options that we need to be aware of and make sure that we make use of these tools to make our lives easier. All right, now one of the things I just want to talk about is Alexa. This is something that people don't talk a lot about, but Alexa has advanced tremendously. And I'm of the firm opinion that Alexa can make your life so much easier. So let me hand you back over to Sandra.
For those who are not fussed on trying to learn how to use a computer, these assistive devices are a very simple way to access information online. While you don't need a computer, you will still need an internet connection. So what some people refer to as Alexa is actually an Amazon Echo. Alexa is the virtual assistant inside the Echo, developed by Amazon, much like Siri for Apple, Google Assistant for Android, and Cortana for Microsoft. These are all voice-activated programs that will, with varying degrees of success, implement a task based on your voice commands. The Amazon...
5 minutes. Sorry, 5 minutes, James and Sandra.
The Amazon Echo connects to your internet and allows you to do several things that you might normally do. There are also several home automation devices such as lights, heaters, doorbells, security cameras, and appliances, and even a kettle Yes, that's right. With a command to Alexa, you can instruct it to boil the jug. Alexa is now available on a range of Amazon Echo as well as other branded smart speakers. While the Echo Plus and Echo Studio 3D are higher versions of the Echo, there is an Echo model for everyday use. What are Alexa's skills? Basically, a skill is like an app for your smartphone. You can visit the Alexa skills section on Amazon.com or via the Alexa smartphone app to find a large range of skills from a wide variety of categories. With over 70,000 skills to choose from, you'll be able to find something to suit your needs. They range in price from 700 Rand to 4,500 Rand.
So for those who watched the Australian program, The Block, they made effective use of Alexa. So you're walking, you say switch on the light, it will switch on the light. You say switch on the TV, it will switch on the TV. You say boil the kettle, it will boil the kettle. It can read books to you. You can have a chat to it in the morning. You can say good morning, what is the weather today? There's so many applications that you can make that can be connected to, and really I believe this is something of the future that'll really make our lives a lot easier. So here are just some examples of the typical types that you can get from, as I mentioned, from 600 Rand right up to about 4,300, which if in context of some of the other devices that we have to buy, this is not that, it's relatively feasible. Okay, so now I want to go on to
Assistive devices, book readers, calculators, electronic magnifiers, handheld magnifiers, large print keyboards, literacy software, note takers, scan and read, OCR, screen magnification software, and screen reader software.
So these are particularly two that I make use of. AllCam, which, as you can see in the diagram or the picture, you can read books, you can read articles in magazines, you can read the newspaper. It has multiple functions. I think the downside of it is that it is expensive, but it is one of the apps that can really, or devices that can make your life a lot easier. My most famous one is the Ruby.
The Ruby combines high definition camera technology with a lightweight body to bring you crystal clear images in a small package. The 4.3-inch screen and built-in LED lighting provides magnified high contrast images with no distortion. Its streamlined design means it can slip comfortably into a pocket.
And I use this really extensively when I traveled as well. It has quite a lot of good features to it. So I don't have too many devices because we go out and we get excited and we buy all these devices, and then eventually they get put on the shelf. I think in closing, I also just want to make mention that assistive devices, the computer program, and aspects like that, you can claim in terms of Section 18 of the Income Tax Act, you can claim. The only time that you can claim, obviously, is when you submit your return. So what a lot of people like myself do is we only buy closer to the end of the tax year, so they've got a shorter time to get a reimbursement. Obviously, there are certain tax regulations that one would have to comply with, but you can get refunds from it. Folks, I challenge you all, get yourself going, and with that I say thank you very much.
Thank you, James. As usual, I don't know if you know that James and his ZoomText read faster than Linda and I hanging over his shoulder trying to read on his screen. So it just shows you what apps can do. And James is just such a good example of not taking too many apps and trying to learn everything. identify what is your greatest need, and find an app that will fulfill that need. And I like what he says is just find out what's right for you. And Siri can actually even tell you the name of a song playing on the radio and who recorded it. So don't underestimate the power of Siri. And I'm an iPhone fan, as James is, but we know that you can, most of what you can get on iPhone, you can get on Android. Sometimes you have to pay. But James will keep us informed when things change. And we really thank you for that wonderful presentation, James. And if you can stop your screen share, I can try and get my share up. Thanks.